In this video, I'm going to go over some of my background learning Japanese as a second language, particularly some of the exams I've passed over the years and some of the qualifications I've obtained. And the reason for this is not to brag. I want to emphasize that it's not to brag. It's simply to sell myself, because the reality is if I'm trying to grow this channel, this YouTube channel at all, then I need to explain why my content is worth your time. Because if you do a Google search for advice for learning Japanese as a second language, or a YouTube search, or if you look anywhere online, you're going to have thousands of different options available. And so I'm explaining or giving some reasons why my content that I'll be putting out is worth your time to have a look at. So, the first set of things I thought I'd go through, I've had it up here already, is these are the main high school exams that I took for Japanese in New Zealand. So, your country's system, I'm sure, is different, but these are the three last years of high school. The last year of high school, 2010, second to last, 2009 for me, third to last, 2008. So these are all the different Japanese internal and external exams or assessments that I sat, with the result M, merit, A, achieved, E for excellence. So this is sort of the earliest I could find of official results, so to speak. Next thing I've got here is the assessment of language competence. I think this is an Australian exam that I was able to sit from New Zealand, and I don't think they gave actual percentage marks, but high distinction was the highest mark they gave out. So that was for listening. There's another one of these from Australia. It's listening and reading. Hold that there a little bit longer. Not as good results this time around. Again, listening and reading. Now, this is a little bit more common, a well-known test, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, JLPT exam. This was when there was just 4 levels, N4, N3, N2, N1. So that's how it was in the past. Nowadays, I think since a few years ago, there's 5 levels, N5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so, yeah, I passed the N4 at the end of high school. Maybe I should have been sitting the N3 at that time. I don't know. Then, from then, 3 years passed. So from 2010 to 2013, I sat N2 for the first time and got a really good mark on that. And this was after living 1 year in Japan and then coming back and living 1 year in New Zealand. But obviously I was using and studying Japanese while I was in New Zealand as well. And then approximately 6 months later, I sat the N1 for the first time and passed that as well. Reading was pretty average, but it was good to get close to 100% for the language knowledge section. Then a couple of months later, so the N1 was in, I think, June or July, and then in August, I was awarded this, which is the New Zealand National Speech Competition, Japanese Language Speech Competition for university students in New Zealand. Came first for that. Then a couple of, 6 months later, I sat the N1 again, but I actually got a slightly lower score. So the previous one was, I think, 133, and this was a 126. Just slightly lower scores all around. Then at the end of 2015, I sat the JLPT N1 for the third time and passed again. I was trying to get a higher mark, and I did get a slightly higher mark, 138, but not much of a jump, which was a bit disappointing. And this was after spending another 3 weeks in Japan. So in April 2015, I went to Japan for 3 weeks, did a round trip, because for the speech competition that I won, one of the prizes was a return ticket to Japan. So that's maybe part of what helped me pass this one with a slightly higher mark. And one thing I noticed, which is that I've had high marks in the listening, so 57 out of 60. That's close to 100% on that particular one. And then on the first one, I got 56 out of 60 for language knowledge, but on all three, so I almost got 100% on that one and almost got 100% on listening on a different exam. But I've always had pretty average reading marks for N1, always just over 50%, sort of 60% roughly. And that's something I'm working on. It's, if you ask people about the N1 exam, I think quite a lot of people will say that the reading is the hardest because of the fact that you have to read difficult texts, but in a short amount of time. The time constraints is the big problem, not as much the difficulty of each text in and of itself. The other thing I forgot to mention is, while doing all that, that was all part of a degree program which I did. I couldn't get this out, but that's the degree, BA, Bachelor's of Arts, that all those assessments were sort of part of. And these are the grades for that degree. So we did interpreting, translation, and a whole lot of so a little bit of linguistics, and mainly just the basic kanji, vocab, grammar, that sort of thing, were the bulk of the classes. So that's my academic background, so to speak. In future videos, I'm going to go over some of my favorite resources for learning Japanese in terms of books, textbooks, fiction, movies, TV series, apps, and anything else that I think other people would benefit from to shorten their, give them some shortcuts.